Good afternoon, class. So today is 29th of June and we will have to cover the current affairs of today. Now, government have basically announced another package of 6.28 lakh crore stimulus for the second COVID wave, which is substantially low because the direct investment is not been happening. When we talk about the actual spending that the government is currently doing, that is only about 0.5% of the GDP, which amount to only 1.18 lakh crore. Now, there are other kind of facilities that the government have announced. There is an emergency credit line, which is 1.5 lakh crore, and which will benefit approximately 25 lakh small borrowers, and they will only be applicable to all the persons who are buying the loans below 75,000 crore or less. For health, for 50,000 crore has been given, and for any kind of health infrastructure, if it is needed to be raised, government have said that any person who want to ramp up the health facilities, so right now it is a very good time to open clinics, pharmacy, or hospitals. So the interest rate is just about 7.95%. There is another allocation of 15,000 crore that will be for the public projects to augment the pediatric care, ICU beds, oxygen supply, and the medical personnel. So in medical field, I think there will be more jobs and more things. So इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. The next one is the 10-month doses gap boost antibodies. This is Oxford study. So इसको पढ़ लीजिएगा. I am tired of this COVID now. Every, I think 2 or 3 days after, there is another study that gives you different kind of data. Some says 3 months, 84 days, 2 months, 27 days, 28 days. Then we had 3 months, then we have 6 months, now we have 10 months. So what will happen, we do not know. The next one is the dialogue not at the cost of national security. Statement made by Defense Minister. He says that when we want to resolve the dispute, it should not be on the settlement of the national securities. Efforts should be made by both the sides for the de-escalations and also the solution with regard to the peaceful resolution at the border and the standoff that have happened or have been started from the last year. Now already he says that we are the priests of the world peace. We have never attacked any country. We have never been assertive with any of the fact or any of the issues with regard to invade or attack another country. So India has a track record of aspiring for the peace. Now it is up to the Chinese authority to basically do the same and uphold the talks in the spirit that will lead to the resolution of the problem on the border. ये उन्होंने कहा. The next news is related to CBI seeks to record Nambi Narayan's statement. Now I hope you remember Nambi Narayan is a person who was the head of the cryogenic engine at that particular time. He has been framed by the police authorities, and the persons who have framed him basically have retired from the police services. Now there have been cases that has been filed once the Supreme Court declared that he was a patriot and no case or any form of documentary proof has been found against him, although there have been a damage to the reputation, so a certain form of compensatory allowance has been provided to him. I think 1 crore rupees has been provided to him, but what is the use when you waste the talent that is in India? Now, with regard to that, the Central Arm Agencies or the CBI have basically going to record the Narayan statement with regard to the issues that have happened. So we will be going over the office and the former police officers who were involved with regard to the cases which was falsified and declared false and fabricated case on Nambi Narayan have basically applied for the anticipatory bail which has been provided to them. So what will happen in the ISRO espionage case, we do not know. But Nambi Narayan, I think sooner or later there will be a movie that will be made by Bollywood and he will be projected as a hero. Maybe I hope that the realities or the facts of the matter will not be disturbed and it will be present in the manner which have happened to him. And if you get a chance, please learn a thing and two about Nambi Narayan. Because this is a very curious case of India being the first nation that could develop the cryogenic engine, and it has been said that there was a agency of USA, that is FBI, has been, CIA have been involved with regard to the planning, fabrication, and also hitting the project that India was basically working in the space sector with regard to the cryogenic engines. Okay, his main work is in cryogenic engine. Right now, I think most of the world is basically using cryogenic engine, and some believers of the space technology says that if Nambi Narayan would have been there, we would have gotten the cryogenic engine by the year 2007 or 2008. right now, I think in 2019 or 20, we have gotten our first trial successful of cryogenic engine, and which was basically made to take some satellites to the outer space. तो उसको ध्यान रखिएगा. Next one is the P.V. Narasimha Rao is a pioneer of the economic reforms. So I hope this is clear. He belonged to Telangana, and I think already we know about P.V. Narasimha Rao. What are the things that he have done? So LPG reforms have come under his purview. तो इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. Okay, the next one is a case of no case, and the law of sedition is unconstitutional. Now both these articles are related, and why it is related? Because both are related to UAPA. Now what is a UAPA? UAPA is Unlawful Activity Prevention Act. Now what happens under Unlawful Activity Prevention Act? That there are certain persons who have been charged with certain offences, and under IPC there are two sections that are presented. Now when we talk about, there is section 124A and there is section 153B. Section 124A basically penalize the seditious speech or writing, and section 153B of the IPC punish imputation against national integration. So these are the two sections that are currently invoked, and they both are of IPC. Now when we talk about Vinod Dua case, there was a Kedar Singh judgment that was highlighted by the court, and in the Kedar Singh judgment it has been said that merely a situation, if there is a law and order problem that is created by a particular situation, it could not amount the sanctions or the provision of the section 124A. They have said that this is not basically unconstitutional. They have said that this is a constitutional validity, but this particular provision cannot hold true if you started imposing the act of secession on the citizens of the state. Now what is the issue of the disaffection? What does we mean by disaffection? Now when it comes to disaffection, there are different kind of violences that can be committed. When we talk about incitement to violence, that is what the court have said, that if there is incitement to violence during a particular speech or writing, only then it will amount to sedition. If there is a speech that is devoid of any form of violence or calling of the violence against any community, religion or any other place, then it will not be falling under the provision of the disaffection toward the state. So what is the violence and how it will come? So when we talk about the violence, it can be committed either by spoken words, it can be committed by written words, it can be committed by a sign, or it can be a visible representation of any art form. When we talk about disaffection, the definition is also not true. What could be a disaffection to a certain person could not be a disaffection to another. Disloyalty is another thing, and enmity is a different thing. So if you are disloyal to somebody, it could be amounting to a type of a disaffection, but if there is an enmity, you are challenging, but you may not be disloyal to that particular person. So that is another part. Now, when the words are interpreted and how they are made sense, that is another part we have to look out for. Article 92 basically provide reasonable restrictions, and that has been the provision of the government that any freedom, even if it is a freedom of speech and expression provided under Article 19(1)(a), it has reasonable restrictions that are provided under Article 19(2), and this reasonable restriction of the Constitution basically empowers the government to impose any of Section 124A or Section 153B against the persons who have either showed disaffection toward the state or either have been involved in the sedition or any other activities or crime related activities. Now in that, the Supreme Court have come up as a protector of the fundamental right, and Supreme Court have clearly said that this was a law that has been implemented by the colonial masters at that particular time to check in the nationalist feeling to develop in India. As we are a nation now, therefore, violence, if there is no direct call for the violence or even the indirect inference, should not be taken into account when you are considering a case under Article 124A. So what you should be bothered about, if there is a direct inference to any kind of violence that is needed to be committed, only then they will fall under the purview of Section 124A of the IPC and 153 of the 53B of the IPC. Now please remember, this is a very important debate, and this important debate could also lead to certain questions with regard to the interviews. So the question could be framed like that recently the government is basically arresting certain people under section 124A. What is your opinion on that? And the correct answer would be, so dissatisfaction against the government and the sedition are two different activities. If it is a dissatisfaction, there should be no charges, because we live in a democracy and democracy is strengthened when there is a debate in the democratic environment. The second, sedition definitely needed to be protected because it is contained in the Article 1 of the Constitution, in which it has been stated that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states, and no state is basically allowed to secede from the union or even preach that you can secede from the union. So I hope you remember there was a person called as Sharjil Imam or something like that. He talked about breaking the chicken neck of India, that is the Siliguri corridor that is present in West Bengal, and therefore cut off the whole of the northeast. So he has been charged under Article 124A, and I don't know whether he has been given the bail or not, but I think he remained in the jail for a longer period of time, because the judge was also convinced that you have made this statement and he have admitted to make that particular statement in the copy that has been submitted in the court. So he will be charged with higher proportions. But if there are no persons who have not said directly for the incitement of the people, or have not said that there should be violence and that is needed to be committed directly, then there should be no cases that are needed to be filed under Article 124A. I hope this is clear. The next one is the reopen the file and reconsider privatization. Now this is a very good article written by Ajay Shankar. Please make notes of it. And he is a former secretary, so definitely IAS officer, Department of Industrial Policy and the Promotion, Government of India. Now, what kind of opinion he have given? He says that government seems more increasingly going to the privatization, and government is in hurry to basically exit from any of the businesses that even are running by the government and you are making them profits. Now he says that when we talk about the opening of the sector of a particular country, of a particular economy, we are talking about Washington's consensus. What does Washington consensus say? Washington consensus is a type of a belief that is believed that private sector is inherently more efficient as compared to the government sector. Now in that we have to see that in the NPA, the major amount of the NPR are basically taken over by the public sector. So that holds true. But if you take the example of the ISRO is the one of the most efficient departments that are working under the purview of the government. Now, when we talk about India, the NPR are basically ballooning. Even if there is a government, the fiscal deficit is increasing because the PSUs are not making the profit that they are supposed to be doing. So what are the issues that we have? What are the categories, solutions, and the issues that we should be considering? Now in that there are three type of, we have basically categorized the three type of institution. He says first of all, there are some institutions or the public sector units that are beyond redemption. What does we mean by beyond redemption? Because there are certain enterprises that are not popular in the market. They have lost the market. The products that they are making is only used here and there. So they have old machinery, they have redundant products, the human resources is also not available, and they will be not privatized because of the reluctance of the laborers and the unions, because they will be harming because of it. So one example I think is Air India, because Air India workers are protesting, although there is no way to basically, Air India will not be a good example, but HMT is a good example. So HMT made tractors and watches. I think there are major competitors in the market who are providing better quality and better facility in the market. So therefore there is no business for the government to remain in the business and they should exit from it. The second one is the financially sick. So here will come Air India. They are financially sick. If certain restructuring finances are being provided and there is a better facility with regard to the debt management and a management is being roped in, there is a possibility that Air India could make profit because they are already in the operational profits, because they are able to manage their day-to-day issues and other day-to-day expenses, and they are in profits. So we can certainly assume that. Now with regard to the Chinese example, he says that when we talk about the pragmatism and ideology, you have to see the countries that are in your neighborhood. When we talk about China, in the future 500 companies, that is the companies who are going to do better in the next 500 years, there are 124 companies that are coming from China, and out of that 124 companies, 91 are state owned. So it does not even mean that state cannot work efficiently. State can work efficiently, but you have to basically promote and choose where you are going to promote and where you are going to choose. Now, with regard to that, there should be a calibrated disinvestment. Maximum value when you will realize when there will be least disruptions and the value of the product in the market is at maximum. Now, parallel management can be established. There could be stable regimes that are needed to be introduced. We have seen the working of the Maruti. These are the some things that we can do into the public sector. Outright privatization, I think for all the press sector and the public sector enterprises or the units are not a sound policy, because there will be very good performing PSUs, and selling those particular PSU does not make any sense. So for example, government is selling 10% share in the LIC. I do not understand what is the objective until unless you want to make money. Other than that, there is no objective in basically the privatization of the LIC, because it is your profit making PSU. Okay, so इस बात को ध्यान रखिएगा. And then again, there is a risk of private sector getting the cheaper prices, which is always has been a risk, that it is for a giveaway prices. So that we should not do. The next one is the keeping alive conversation about HIV or AIDS. Now, please remember 3 or 4 things you have to do about here. I will not go into the details. Please remember 1990 target is the target that has been set up by WHO. 90% of the people will have conducted their test, and 90% of the people will know their status, and 90% of the people will start antiretroviral therapy who have been infected with the virus. That is what the 1990 target is. India have a double incentive basically to contain upon the spread of the virus. But in India, there have been cases of HIV that has been increasing. Now, please remember, it is not because of the less use of the contraception. People are using contraceptions, people are using safety, but it is because of the drug uses. Now, what happened over there? In the HIV, in the initial years when it started propagating in India or spreading its wings in India, it was from mother to child or either by blood transfusion. Over the time from 2003 to 2015, there was a comprehensive policy in which certain people were basically taken care, certain people were basically considered. So, which are the persons who are more prone to contract HIV? So, these were sexual workers, there are truck drivers, drug users, migrants and other users, and then there are dating apps that are available online, and the hookers that generally offer different kind of facilities online by the payment of the money. Now, when we talk about right now what is happening, there are 2 major causes, the migrants and the injectable drug causes. So we have to basically, what we can do, we can have a educational awareness program directly from the school. We can have counseling and teaching centers. There could be a home kit for the HIV reporting, although this is not mentioned in the article, but it could be a possibility as you have COVID kit. So you can have HIV kit at your home in which you can know the status that whether you are HIV infected or not. Now, other than that, there is prior information health checkups that can be conducted at school and also at different levels, specifically of the drivers and the prostitutes or the sexual workers. Okay. The next one is the rattling the foreign investors. Now, isko padh lijiyega. I don't think I need to go into that. This is a whole criticism of India with regard to how India have handled basically the foreign direct investment that is coming. There were 3 major cases. One was the Vodafone case, one was the Cairn India case, and one was the Devas Multimedia case. So, in all these cases, the bureaucracy of the India have not led to any kind of settlement. Rather than they have appealed, and rather they have not forced basically for a particular solution with regard to the particular businesses. They have dragged these particular cases for years, and ultimately the final decision when it came, India had to pay, or India have to basically let go of with regard to the tax benefits that are needed to be given away, or earlier all these parties have claimed. So ये चीजें वहां पे थी, इसको पढ़ लीजिएगा. अभी इसको इकोनॉमिक्स में पढ़ेंगे तो देयर आई विल टेल यू. The next one is the entering the CAPF tough. What is this? This is basically with regard to the negatives that CAPF have basically suffered over the COVID pandemic. The maximum effective force has been the CRPF. And other than that, when we talk about the battalion, the capability of the battalion, we have already seen their valor that is celebrated on April 9, in which a small battalion basically repulsed a major army that contained tanks and other at the Run of Kutch in 1965. In northeastern region, they have ensured peace tranquility and no major incursions have occurred on the eastern border. Now, anti-Maoist operations with regard to the containment of the Naxalites, CRPF has also played active role in the forefront forces and also have been providing till date the elimination or the road framework for the control of the Naxalites. Okay. Next one is the nuclear capable Agni P missile test fire. So this is Agni Prime. It is the mainstay of India's nuclear capability, has a range of 1000 to 2000 kilometers. Please remember we have Agni 6 and Agni 7 which have intercontinental range. That is, they can go beyond 4000 to 5000 kilometers. So that is a huge range for a particular missile, and it is a ICBM. Okay, intercontinental ballistic missile, and they are nuclear powered. That is why they are threat to the other person. The next one is the P. Sainath has been selected for 2021 Fukuoka Grand Prize. So this is academic prize with regard to the civil corporation through the writings, and he have basically given a new form of knowledge on rural India. That's why he has been awarded the Fukuoka Prize. Okay. The next news is related to CoronaVac safe for children. New study have found it. So some good hope for the children of India. The next one is confident disinvestment target of 1.75 lakh crore will be met, said by Chief Economic Advisor. I don't know on which basis he is saying, but if he is saying, I think definitely we would be able to achieve it. There is a selling of the share of the LIC and privatization of the BPCL. So these are the second generation reform, and 2-year break has already been occurred because of the COVID pandemic. Now he says that we will not be delaying it any further, and more amount of disinvestment at a faster and a better realized price will be conducted. The next news is related to Ukraine-US launch Black Sea drills. First of all, see here Black Sea is. What is the issue with Ukraine? Ukraine is seeking the participation of the NATO because it is fearing that the Crimea, the region that has been taken over by Russia, is in major offensive to basically increase its influence. So Ukraine basically went to UK. They asked that please convince US to give a status to us as a NATO ally, which US is not right now conducive to. They are very reluctant to, but they have been basically threatening Russia in the neighborhood in the Black Sea with regard to the direct support that they have shown for the Ukrainian region. Okay, so इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. The next one is Iran, Egypt, Jordan Port Summit. So this summit is related to the ties that are needed to be boosted on security, energy and trade. So economic cooperation, energy cooperation and business cooperation. Why it is substantial? Because these are the countries who have been for the major part of the time anti-Saudi Arabia. Okay. So इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. So I think that is it for today.